What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode episode number 55, the Mexican Grand Prix. It is getting very serious in this championship. I believe we've got 6 races to go, including this one, and this is a pretty good circuit for us, so we're looking to come away with a trophy at the end of this Grand Prix. I think 18 points is the difference between ourselves and Max Verstappen at the top of the drivers' standings. But that's it. It's only a 2-horse race in this championship now. Max Verstappen has been utterly dominant. Our form has been better as of the last few races, so we're getting into the game, but no one else has showed the same level of consistency. And as such, not in the fight anymore. Anyway, in terms of upgrades, we are consolidating some drag reduction upgrades in this episode. The goal is to get absolutely everything done at some stage. But yeah, we're just doing what we can. We're spending all the resource points we get in an effort to save whatever face we can heading into next season. So let me know down in the comments what we should prefer over certain upgrades. Looking at the performance index, no one is upgrading. Everyone is fully focused on next season's car and making sure they don't lose any performance heading into the new season. So it's going to be very interesting. I think the lower end teams have the most to gain heading into next season. We have the most to lose. So the focus is very heavily on saving next year's car. Anyway, practice done. Time for quali for the Mexican Grand Prix. All right, here we go for qualifying for the circuit. Hermanos Rodriguez. I definitely left out a couple of names there. Either way, pace is good. Pretty much matching our teammate at Senna, which is a great sign to start off the weekend. We didn't overly struggle with tire temps or passing the practice programs earlier on in the weekend. So we've rolled the car off the truck, and it seems to be pretty fast right from the outset, so we can just focus on getting the most out of ourselves, really, not having to compromise in terms of setup or anything like that in order to make this car go fast. We're running actually relatively high tire pressures. We only need to lower the fronts a little bit to help the front end get around through those high-speed corners, but otherwise, car feels nice. Q2, and yeah, P3, pretty much matching Verstappen. Ayrton, I'd say he's a little bit off us, but it's only a 10th. It was maybe just a lap that wasn't quite on it like ours was. We move into Q3 now, and you can see a little bit way with there. Ayrton Senna going provisional pole on 11.8. We can go a little bit faster than that, but this is our first flying lap, and this is on a used set of softs that we used in Q1. And yeah, the rear's not exactly happy right at the end of that high-speed S section. If you absolutely nail it and put your car exactly where you need it to be, you can look after the tires, but as soon as you ask too much of them, it can get a little bit wayward there, which is exactly what happened. I think we rushed one of the corners, got in too fast, and then the back end was all over the place, as you guys saw, and our third sector, I think, suffered a little bit because of that. We lost the 10th in Sector 3, with the tires probably being a little bit overheated on that run. So we're going to go out again at the end of the session. This is with a fresh set of soft compound tires, one run prior to the end of this session. We're saving a set of tires for the race because it's so important to keep a fresh set for Mexico just in case, because the soft is actually a really good race tire around here, and we want to have an ace up our sleeve in case we need it in the Grand Prix itself. Anyway, we're 3/10 up on our previous best. Sector 3, this is where we lost a little bit of time on our banker lap. You can see we're up by 5/10 as we round the stadium section. Last couple of corners, you can see we're continuing to find pace relative to our previous best. Up to the line, it's 6/10 improvement, and that is pole position for the Mexican Grand Prix by over 3/10 to Pierre Gasly. Absolutely destroyed. Where was everyone else in this session? We continue to find pace in each session. I think it was about 2 or 3/10 each time, around 3/10 each time. But the AI weren't able to kind of match us as the weekend while we're on the track, just gripped up, and it felt absolutely phenomenal in this car. Grip, very nice. Heading into the race as well, we are normally more competitive, so I'm expecting big things.
All right, I think we can call that a successful qualifying. We should be in with a good chance in the race.
Benjamin lines up on pole position, with Pierre Gasly alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Lewis Hamilton and Perez, Bottas, Ocon, Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda, Senna, Vettel, Lance Stroll and Norris, Russell, Verstappen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty.
We're still in with a chance of winning the title. We need you to push as hard as you can in the 5 remaining races.
We are more than a chance of winning this title. In fact, we're only just getting into the fight now. 18 points behind Max Verstappen heading into this race. He's starting well down the order in today's Grand Prix with some grid penalties. So looking very likely that we're going to be able to cut into that lead even further as long as we don't have an engine failure. Touch wood. I'm touching all of the wood in this house. Hopefully we're okay. So, 2-stop looks like is on the agenda today. The soft is the better race tire to be on, so I'm actually going to stick to a 2-stop in this race. We could even do 1-stop mediums, but we'll see how the tire wear is. 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Mexican Grand Prix in Season 3. Pretty decent start there, but such a long run into turn 1 that even the slightest little blemish off the line and you're going to get heavily exposed as Pierre Gasly takes the lead of the Grand Prix. We're going to try and go around the outside of him into turn 1. He doesn't use the full width of the circuit there. We've taken the lead back off of the Frenchman into the first chicane now, coming out of it, and he doesn't exactly challenge us heading into the next set of chicane. So I think we're going to hold on to this one. We'll get an update on Max Verstappen in just a second. He is prime suspect number 1. If anyone's going to recover, it's going to be that guy. He's been so fast this season. Not sure what he was doing in qualifying, but his pace wasn't exactly exemplary there. Maybe he's gone for a race or an overtaking style setup. We'll have to wait and see how his progress unfolds in this race. But you can see Pierre Gasly having a little go at us in turn 1 on lap 2. That's a little concerning. We want to actually be pulling away and having a nice boring race, to be honest. That's what we need to get back in the fight for this championship. 14.5 last time by. No one else beating that? I don't imagine so. We are the fastest, or we were the fastest person on circuit, and shock horror, it is Max Verstappen showcasing the pace. But unfortunately for him, he's at the back end of that lead train of cars. He's in P12 right now, I want to say, but he's still in the fight. Look at the absolute gap we're forming between the top half and then the rest. The Haas's, the Williams, etc. Wow, those guys are really dropping off. It's pretty crazy to see. Anyway, lap 4, heading on to 5. We're continuing to find form in this race. The tyre wear seemingly lower than what is anticipated on the race strategy. I didn't do the overall race practice program, so I don't have accurate fuel numbers or tyre wear numbers. So a 1-stop might well be possible in this race, but Jeff is pushing back the strategy by a couple of laps to lap 12. So tyre wear numbers are much better than we anticipated, which isn't really a surprise. The tyre temperatures as well haven't been an issue too much, as Verstappen has a bit of a back-end loss moment there. But you can see he is still heavily entrenched in that queue. I decided to look in replay cameras to see what everyone else's tyre temps were, and they are not suffering at all. I mean, we're not really suffering, but the AI especially are not suffering for overheating. Though as I say that, that's the first time we've hit 105 degrees on any of the tires right there. I think that was possibly an anomaly, as I was leaning on the car a little bit more than usual on that lap. Anyway, Sergio Perez is in at the end of the first stint, and these are the first guys to blink in the field. It'll be interesting to see what tires they go on to. It looks like mediums for Sergio Perez. What about Ayrton in the other Marduk Motorsport car? Trundles down to the end of the pit lane, and it is mediums for him too. So I'm thinking about following that strategy. However, we're going to stay out a few extra laps before we do so. I think the overcut is going to be very good here, given that the tyre wear is lower, and the soft is a much better tyre compound to be on than the mediums or the hards. I think we can actually gain time by staying out an extra few laps than these guys and avoid traffic as well. So that's what I'm going to do. But in this midpoint of the race, I'm going to put on mediums and hopefully protect this lead a little bit. But we'll get back to that in a second. This is Sergio Perez, I think, having a little go at Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri. Meanwhile, this is Lando Norris, we were riding on board with briefly. He got jumped in the pit lane by Max Verstappen and Red Bull. So Max is slowly making some progress. I believe he's now inside the top 10 effectively in this Grand Prix. We're lapping Mick Schumacher already in this race. Esteban Ocon is out of the Grand Prix. Things are starting to unravel in this Grand Prix, and that is Alpine's first retirement, or the first retirement of this race. Could well bring out a safety car, and not gonna lie, that would be pretty well timed for us, I think. I think we're gonna box at the end of this lap. It is lap 12. We've stayed out the extra couple of laps relative to the other guys, and we're now starting to catch up to some lap cars, so I don't exactly want to get involved with these guys. We've built out a decent advantage now. We've made the most of it by carrying the tyres that little bit longer. We'll have fresher tyres for the rest of the Grand Prix. So you know what, this is perfect timing. We're coming in and we're going to put on the medium compound tyre. We are going to essentially consolidate this lead that we've got. We're going to park the bus in this middle stint because some people, well, you can see the majority of the guys around me are on softs. They might come towards me and possibly overtake me in this Grand Prix. So I'm getting the slow tyre out of the way now. I'm going to finish strongly on the softs and hopefully go for a fast lap of the Grand Prix. That is the game plan. Let's see if we can execute it. Meanwhile, Ayrton Senna going very slowly. He's not retiring, but he's coming back into the pit lane only one lap after making his last stop. The front wing looks intact. So I honestly couldn't tell you what that pit stop's for, but he's into the pit lane once again. Max Verstappen benefiting quite a bit from Ocon's retirement. Senna having an extra pit stop. Maybe he came together with someone else, I'm not too sure, but Max is now starting to consolidate a few more positions in this Grand Prix, which is making me, well, not uncomfortable. I was expecting this, but I wasn't. I was hoping he'd get stuck a little bit. Safety car is being deployed in this Grand Prix. Someone has retired from the Mexican Grand Prix, or maybe they haven't. It's not come up on screen. No one has retired. What has actually brought out this safety car? Nothing, it seems. Ayrton again. Oh my word. Ayrton Senna is making his third pit stop in this Grand Prix in probably as many laps. Front wing change. It must have been for debris. So my teammate has collided with someone over the course of this lap, and that's brought out the safety car, which has absolutely screwed us because we had a 5-6 second lead prior to that safety car period. We were actually starting to pull away from the soft compound runners. Could you believe it? So for the first few laps of Gasly and Hamilton's stint, they were actually closing me in, but then the tyres seemingly wore off, or I got used to the mediums, or maybe a combination of both. Charles Leclerc has front wing damage as well. All the leaders are coming into the pit lane, except ourselves, for hard compound tyres. Max Verstappen is also in for hards. And, well, all these people coming together is only helping Verstappen move further up the order. I'm not sure if Verstappen jumped Leclerc, but that certainly puts him closer to that battle. So we've been caught out here. We haven't been able to box on the safety car. We're kind of trapped on these medium compound tyres, and the safety car, I imagine, is going to come in at the end of this lap. So this is now the scenario. I'm not too sure if we can squeeze in that pit stop onto soft compound tyres again without losing the lead. So we're just going to have to tough it out on these tyres. The AI are going to have no pace, I imagine, on the hards. So if their pace is terrible, then who knows? Maybe we'll be able to squeeze in another stop in this race, but we need at least 12 to 14 seconds to comfortably come out again with a chance of winning the Grand Prix. Anyway, safety car is coming in. We are slowing the field to an absolute crawl in order to cool out their tyres and hopefully benefit me on this restart. It's not really worked out too well as my tyres didn't feel great as we went back to full racing speed. But anyway, we're underway for the Grand Prix once again. A few lap cars in between myself and Lewis Hamilton, which has certainly helped things. Gap is already out to a second, which is exactly what we're after. We're pushing really hard on this restart to break the DRS to Lewis Hamilton and the cars behind. A massive moment there in the middle sector, and we've lost the lead of the Grand Prix. Thankfully, we've still got our car intact, but that is not ideal in this Mexican Grand Prix, pushing that a little bit too hard and getting unstuck by the curbing. That is very strange. It's not happened all weekend. It's not happened all season. It's not even happened on the entirety of this game, spinning on that curb. But it unfolds at the least timely portion of the Grand Prix when the field is bunched up and right behind us, back down to P5, or down to P5 for the first time in this race. We've been leading from lights to, I'd say, flag, but we're not at the end of the Grand Prix yet, but lights until now, under pressure from Leclerc into the third sector, thankfully able to fend him off around the outside. And yeah, it's back to square one in this race. Ayrton. What is this, pit stop number 4 now? Into the pit lane once again for my teammate. He's having an absolute shocker today. I don't know what it is. I check his front wing, and there's only been one occasion where he's actually had front wing damage, and that was when the safety car came out. The rest of the times, I don't know, he must be getting some kind of phantom damage. The team keep calling him in as we go for a dive bomb on Ricciardo. Massive lunge into the stadium section. The fans would have loved that one. But yeah, my teammate really dropping the ball for the team, unfortunately. It's just one of those days, but not for us. Even though we had a bit of a moment a few minutes ago, we are digging ourselves out of trouble, and this is how we're doing it, with raw speed, grip, and determination. Thank you very much. P4. And lucky to get away with not clattering into the side of Ricciardo. He had good presence of mind to let us go and nearly work the switch back to his favor. He gets the position back anyway with DRS and absolutely makes me silly. Up the inside. Not quite. Don't have the gap. Don't have the grip on that occasion. Not close enough. Wanted to go for the immediate answer to get the position back on Ricciardo, but yeah, that McLaren has pretty substantial straight line speed. We're going to be patient, and we're going to wait for this opportunity again and do what Ricciardo did to us with DRS. It's a free overtake. We have the pace. We can afford to be a little bit patient, and patience pays off in the end. P4 in this Mexican Grand Prix. That's a cheap warning to give away. Pierre Gasly is next. This is for a podium now. 9 laps to go, 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix. My math is definitely on. And as is the safety car. That is also on in this race. My word. Are we going to be able to recover the time? Are we going to be able to recover the positions in time to get to the end of this race? What's the safety car about this time? Someone's got more damage. It's more debris. No one's actually retired. No one's retiring.
Understood, stopping this lap.
The FIA are just being very trigger happy with this safety car today. This is safety car number 2? 3? I don't actually know. I've lost count. Anyway, 10 laps to go. I wanted to make a pit stop. I wanted to box. I intended on actually boxing, but the gap between the top guys and the back markers closed significantly on that lap under the safety car. So we won't be coming in. Another retirement in this race. Antonio Giovinazzi is out of the Grand Prix. At this point, if you can just get to the end, you might get a point here. But anyway, safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. This probably won't be the last safety car of the race. The AI have been a bit mental today. They can't keep it off each other. But anyway, we're getting underway for the restart. Tyres are fairly cold, but let's see if we can get Pierre Gasly swiftly as we saw the stranded car, the stricken car, still not cleared up yet, and we're back underway for green flag running. That makes absolutely no sense. Bring out safety cars for non-stranded cars, but then when there is a stranded car, it's fine, just leave it there. Go back to green flag running. Up the inside of Pierre Gasly we go, onto the podium now in this Mexican Grand Prix. This race makes absolutely no sense. Tiametmarduk bottling. I mean, instead of making 50 pit stops, a million safety cars, no safety, no regulation to be seen whatsoever. And we've still got 8 laps to go in this race. Who knows what's going to unfold towards the back end of this Grand Prix. We've still got Max Verstappen down the order a little bit, trying to recover points in this championship challenge. At the moment, we're going to gain big points on him. So let's keep this up if we can. Carlos Sainz up next in P2. We're shaping a move. We're very close. Up the inside into the first corner. And that is P2 once again in this race, leaving Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes isolated without DRS. Should be easy pickings for us if we can get within 1 second on that massive DRS straight. So let's yellow flag again. Please don't be a safety car. Please do not be another safety car. I don't need another one of these. Daniel Ricciardo has a Tiametmarduk moment through the middle sector. Rejoins dangerously into the path of Ferraris and the Red Bulls. Max Verstappen might be out of this Grand Prix. In fact, the rest of the field might be out of this race, and this might be a red flag. This Mexican Grand Prix might well be over, as might Max Verstappen's championship hopes be over in one foul swoop. My teammate has got more damage. That's going to be another pit stop in this race. This should be a red flag, surely. There's literally most of the field caught up in that accident. We're down to 11 runners in the Grand Prix. If we're bringing out safety cars for no reason, that definitely needs to be a red flag. Definitely needs to be a red flag. Into the pit lane we go. We're actually going to box for a set of soft compound tyres. I wanted to do this for so long in this race, but the opportunity hasn't really presented itself. There's a massive gap to Bottas behind, so we're going to take the chance and go on to the soft compound tyres, because Bottas, Verstappen and company are boxing. They're changing their wing and going on to soft. So I know there's not long left to go in the Grand Prix, but we've actually got to cover them off, because it's very easy to overtake here. And there's a massive difference between the soft and the medium. So let alone the soft and the hard, Bottas and Verstappen could well be 3 seconds a lap faster than the race leaders. So it's worth the risk. I know you might be pulling your hair out a little bit. There's the safety cars coming in at the end of this lap. We're going to have 5 racing laps to get back into our rightful place of leading the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton is only, keeping the spot warm for me. We are going to charge towards the race leaders and hopefully get away from Bottas and Verstappen. Nikita Mazepin in the Haas is in P6, and that car hasn't seen any development all season. This is a wacky Grand Prix. We're back underway for 4 laps of racing to the end. It's a miracle that Max Verstappen is still in this race, let alone actually benefiting from that massive crash up the inside of Charles Leclerc at turn 1, striking while the iron is hot, while these guys on their hard compound tyres are struggling to get up to temp and pressures with their tyres. They have been on them a little while now, but we are going to gun for the fastest lap and try and win the race at the same time. As long as we can get past these guys cleanly, which we do, the difference in grip is actually insane, especially on this first lap. We've dispatched with Gasly. We're on the podium now. Carlos Sainz is up next. I think this is, quite honestly, the strategy to go for. If we would have stayed out on the mediums, we might have struggled to get past these guys, and we might have actually been at risk of getting overtaken by Bottas and Verstappen. They will come. It's only a matter of time, but we've got to put cars between ourselves and them for the time being. Up into P2 now. Carlos Sainz displaced onto the final spot on the podium. Lewis Hamilton is up next, and this is for the lead of the Grand Prix. Are we going to go up the inside into turn 1? No. Is the answer. We've got time. We've got so much time in this race. 3 laps. We can even wait for the DRS if we want to. We might even go for it now. We're in the slipstream. No DRS. We're close enough to lunge. Into the middle sector we go. And we now lead the Mexican Grand Prix once again. Pretty safe move in the end there, despite being a moderate amount of distance back. the grid between the soft and the hard is actually quite ridiculous. And with the brake upgrades, I mean, that pass was pretty easy to do in the end. This is Bottas on the Alpine of Pierre Gasly. And now Max Verstappen getting in the fray. You can see he's overtaking one of the Ferraris up the inside into the stadium section. The difference between pace of the soft and the hard. I know I keep banging on about it, but it can't be understated how much better the soft compound tyre is, especially at the end of the Grand Prix when there's no tyre wear to factor in for those guys on the softs. Anyway, 2 laps to go. We're building a gap to Hamilton. 4 seconds. 4 seconds, and we only overtook him, I think, last lap. Absolutely ridiculous. Purple to the first, to the middle sector. Personal best in the first. We're pretty fast in sector 3, so I'd imagine that's going to be purple as well. Up to the line. This is going to be a biblical lap time of a 1:12.6. Beat that Bottas as he now gets himself onto the podium. Max Verstappen moving forward as well, displacing Pierre Gasly in the top 5. Carlos Sainz now trying to fight back on Valtteri Bottas. He's overshot turn 1. That's going to make it an awkward affair. Side by side through here. They make contact. So Bottas and the Ferrari have got front wing damage, and Max Verstappen is going to scoop this podium up out of nowhere around the outside into the middle sector. And Verstappen might well get himself a podium now because Bottas has bottled this one. And yeah, that's going to be GG's for his race. He's not going to be on the podium now. He might even box again for a new set of tyres. A change of front wing. We know the AI love a good pit stop in this race. Just ask my teammate. 5 or 6 stops, and still at the end of the day, a DNF. Bottas getting in the way massively, parking the bus like crazy for his teammate Lewis Hamilton in P2. I think that's going to be the saving grace for Mercedes. Hamilton, I think, was really going to lose P2 to Bottas and Verstappen before that coming together on the penultimate lap. Ferrari's in as well. Carlos Sainz for a change of front wing. And yeah, that is a calamity for those guys. A bit of contact that really didn't need to happen. But here we go. Last lap of the Grand Prix. Final few corners for us. We're going to take a pretty dominant victory. Hamilton is going to get P2. Max Verstappen 3rd. A great recovery from the back of the grid. And we gain points on Verstappen.
That's a race win and your 2nd race win in a row. Fantastic job.
What a race.
A nearly flawless performance here then, and a commanding victory. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
A reliable car, that was the most important factor here. This was a real battle of attrition, and you could tell those at the front were trying to find a balance between running their outright pace and taking care of the car to reach the end.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One.
I'll tell you what, my own player face has been such a good omen in this career mode. We've chucked him on, and we haven't stopped winning pretty much. It's been a pretty fun old time these last few races, and Max Verstappen has got to be wondering what more can he do to stay in the fight. It was a great recovery. Started P16, took some new engine components. Even that in itself was a better recovery, a much better recovery than I think he or anyone else could ask for. But still not enough. He loses 11 points in today's race, meaning I think the gap is going to come down to 7 points as we head into the final few races of this season. It is going to be very spicy. He was leading. Max Verstappen was leading this championship by over 100 points halfway through this season, and somehow we've managed to turn it around to the point where maybe next race we could be in control of this championship. That is ridiculous. Especially when you consider there's still a few races to go in this season as well. A massive amount of DNFs in this race. In fact, only half the field managing to get to the end. Lance Stroll and Mick Schumacher a lap down. I believe, what's his name? Nikita Mazepin got P6. Nikita Mazepin got a massive bunch of points in this Grand Prix. He either got P6 or P7. I'll have a look and see where he's moved up into the driver's standings. He got P6. I know he got 6 points, so 7 Oh God, I really fluffed that up. 7th place, 6 points. He goes from last to 15th and elevates Haas in the constructors to, I think, P10 in the drivers, in the constructor. Oh my God, I'm getting everything wrong at this point. P9. P9 for Haas in a car that has not been developed all season. One race to turn it around and their season doesn't look so bad. That is driver of the day stuff right there. Forget Max Verstappen. Driver of the day, Nikita Mazepin. You heard it here first. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. This has honestly got to be the craziest race of the season. Possibly the craziest race of this game's career mode. How do we top this? We can't possibly top this race. No, that's it. We're not topping it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Next race, we're heading off to the Brazilian Grand Prix and Senna's home race. And I'm thinking about doing a 100% race for Ayrton's home circuit. Let me know if that's something you guys want to see down in the comments. Do not look at that replay. That is the one blunder we made all race weekend. And we certainly made life hard for ourselves to dig ourselves out of trouble there. But we fought back well, did an unorthodox strategy to get back into the lead of the Grand Prix, to get a fast lap along the way. And if anything, yeah, that's been maybe inadvertently helped us. But yeah, good day for us. Pretty good day for Verstappen, I guess, from his point of view. He's got some fresh engine components now heading into the next few races, so don't discount Verstappen. He should be a little bit faster now with a fresh engine to get him through to the end of the season. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys for the next episode of Career Mode. That is Nightmare Fuel.